In recent years, many people have started to worry about certain global trends that seem to be advancing without restraint. Policies increasing state intervention in the economy, restrictions on private property use, tighter financial controls, and an accelerated cultural shift are reshaping the world we once knew. There is talk of a global reset, of an economy where the average citizen will have less control over their own life, all in the name of sustainability and inclusion. Countries like those in the European Union, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are leading this transformation, adopting measures that prioritize state control across all areas. In the United States, the process is slower, but the large corporations and financial institutions that dominate the market have already shown their roadmap. To this, we must add the spirit of so-called woke culture, which has evolved from a movement based on social justice into a tool of ideological control. In the name of diversity and inclusion, rules are being imposed that limit freedom of expression, meritocracy, and even the right to disagree. Companies, governments, and schools adopt codes of conduct and policies that punish any stance deviating from the official narrative, while promoting a worldwide view where individuals must conform to a top-down ideological framework. Imagine having a 5-year-old child, and instead of being taught grammar, reading, or math, they are taught to question whether they feel like a boy, a girl, or a fluid gender. What was once sold as a spontaneous cultural shift now appears to be a well-coordinated strategy. Social media censorship, historical revisionism, the criminalization of dissenting opinions, and the imposition of a singular morality are all part of a larger plan to reshape society according to specific interests. That's why I have compiled a list of the best countries where Agenda 2030 and woke culture are not imposed, or places where, although there may be visible LGBT communities, these ideologies are not forced on people. And if you ever wanted to homeschool, you would have the freedom to do so, avoiding any ideological indoctrination of your children. Before we go any further, I want to make it clear, I'm against these policies, but I'm not against the people themselves. I'm sure many of them are wonderful human beings, but I simply don't want this in my life. If you are from Europe, here are some clear alternatives. Hungary, led by Viktor Orban, was one of the first to declare that while other global powers have growth strategies, Europe only offers bureaucracy, regulations, and ideologies. A Spanish friend of mine who lives there told me he's settling in Hungary because he doesn't want to leave Europe entirely due to Spanish proximity. He calls it the EU's black sheep: low taxes, high public and legal safety, no squatters, and kids in schools without weird NGO visits. The government has even announced that mothers with 2 or more children will be exempt from income tax for life. According to political director Balázs Orbán, this pronatalist policy aims to strengthen families and boost Hungary's demographic growth. The second option in Europe is Poland. Led by the Law and Justice Party, Poland has pushed back against several European Union policies, particularly those related to gender ideology, and taking a critical stance against what it sees as a woke agenda. Poland also enforces strict immigration policies, and it's no coincidence that while insecurity rises in other parts of Europe, Poland remains one of the safest countries on the continent. Unlike over-regulated countries like Germany, in Poland you can do whatever you want as long as you don't explicitly break the law, preserving a level of individual freedom that is vanishing in Western Europe. Like Hungary, Poland values traditional family structures and conservative principles. We need to talk about taxes in both countries, and both countries offer 9% corporate tax. In Poland, companies making over 2 million pay 19% taxes. VAT is not favorable, though there are plans to adjust fuel and basic goods. To close out Europe and move into the Americas, let me first mention Cyprus. I lived there at the beginning of 2024, and I can say firsthand they don't believe in woke culture, and they are much aware that something is going on in Europe. At first, I didn't even realize how awake people were there. Of course, like the rest of the EU, the pressure will reach them eventually, albeit more slowly. We'll have to see if they pick a side. Cyprus is a very peaceful country, Limassol aside, and it's several times larger than Malta. While you can cross the island in 2 to 3 hours by car, it still feels big. The taxes in Cyprus are pretty good because you have up to 35% income tax with the first 20,000 tax free. Public healthcare is decent. When I had a gout attack, they treated me pretty well. But the advantage is as a business owner. You will pay around 10% tax, but if you are a high-level entrepreneur, you can structure it down to 1 to 6% effective rate thanks to the CFC rules. If you are in the US or Latin America and don't agree with your government's current direction, El Salvador should be one of your top choices. President Nayib Bukele's policies directly contradict the Agenda 2030 and woke culture. Last year, he even dismantled the ministry promoting this ideology. Yes, it's a small country and you might get bored at times. Prices aren't that low either, especially for buying or renting property, but it remains a solid option. Together with El Salvador, Panama offers excellent tax advantages, practically 0% if your activity is extraterritorial. And if you are in crypto, you already know it is not taxed. Panama doesn't have a woke society, unlike other countries like Argentina, Chile, or Mexico, where social movements around gender, race, and inclusion are prominent. Panama's political and cultural environment is conservative and pragmatic. Dominican Republic may not be a place I would live full-time, but I would definitely consider it. Dominican society is heavily influenced by Catholic and Evangelical Christianity, which has slowed the adoption of progressive policies. Authorities have been taking strong measures against irregular immigration, particularly from Haiti. The country rejects woke culture and LGBT ideology to the point that same-sex marriage is not even legal. Frankly, I think that's a bit extreme. Still, in terms of taxation, it's a fiscal gem. You can pay 0% thanks to its territorial system, but it must be handled carefully. Of course, we have many countries in Latin America where we can live perfectly, but maybe this woke culture, maybe this ideology is growing. For example, this is the case of Brazil. Brazil is clearly adopting more woke culture, especially in Rio and Sao Paulo. In Mexico, mainly Mexico City, has similar trends. Other areas like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, or Tulum, where I'm right now, not so much. I'm resident in Tulum and I'm proud of. Merida might be a better choice. Chile is also seeing cultural changes, though not as fast in the US or Western Europe. Crime is the main issue in Latin America. For example, a friend of mine spent 3 months in Buenos Aires and said you can even take out your phone to check Google Maps in the street. It will get stolen. Buenos Aires is currently very unsafe and you must be careful where you go. However, I have helped a Spanish family to move to Córdoba and they really loved that part of Argentina because it's a calm area and there are nice people there. They are between Paraguay for taxes, Argentina to live, and Spain to see the family and living in summer. Sincerely, it is a pretty good structure. Another great option that I have mentioned is Paraguay. I'm personally a resident. I have lived there extensively in the past 2 years. It's generally traditional country. Like anywhere, you will see people with different sexual orientations, which is fine. The problem is when your entire life revolves around being gay as if nothing else matters. You end up giving undue importance to sexuality when you could be doing things that actually matter. The only things I would improve in Paraguay are the infrastructure and the further development of both Asunción and the interior. Some people even buy hectares of land for 20,000 euros, build there and retire happily. Just this month, with help, a retired man do exactly that. Now we need to talk about taxes in Paraguay. We have 0% taxes on foreign income, 10% taxes on local income. Even your supermarket receipts are tax deductible, and that's why you end up paying much less than 10%, even if you work locally or you have any company there. I love that when you buy a bottle of water, they ask, "Would you like a receipt, sir?" Unthinkable in Europe. We have mentioned Argentina. It's a riskier option under President Milei, who is clearly positioned on the opposite end of the ideological spectrum. But we'll have to wait and see how things evolve, because there is a lot of opposition to Milei. The insecurity in Buenos Aires and other parts of the country make it less ideal for now. We have to mention also Islamic countries. Many Muslim countries are terrible places to live, but there are exceptions like Turkey, the UAE, also we have Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia. These countries completely reject woke ideology. Turkey, for example, offers citizenship by investment for $400,000, which you can recover after 3 years. Of course, some countries are too traditional to the point that they don't even allow LGBTQ people to coexist. Again, for me, a bit excessive. Moving to other part of Asia, we have to mention Malaysia and Indonesia. I have many clients who love Bali and both of these countries, even though they are Muslim majority. In fact, Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world by population, over 231 million Muslims, roughly 87% of the population, I think. These countries oppose woke ideology and uphold traditional values. Now some people say, oh, stop talking about Muslim countries, I want a Christian one with Christian values. I get it, okay? But that's not the point. They are not going to convert you to Islam. Generally, society just won't accept woke policies and they will favor traditional values. You can believe whatever you want, follow any religion or none. What you can do is impose your beliefs or rules on their country. And in places like Bali, the majority of the population isn't even Muslim. Many are Hindu or foreign expats. Most people don't care about religion or practice their own. It's much freer place with little to no woke culture. Other options include Kazakhstan and some Caribbean islands, though I don't recommend the Caribbean due to issues like blackouts, crime, and hurricanes. Take advantage of the best aspects of every country that interests you, whether that's culture, citizenship, passports, residency, a business base, or clients in another region. That way, you can build total freedom for you and your family. If you need help with that, you can fill out the form below. Every month, we help families relocate around the world to pay less, live better, or obtain Plan Bs in terms of passports and residencies.